The realness of boxing broken down to its core. The analysis.
I say it like it is, and I will continue to say it.
History.
I got milk, baby.
The sweetest of the science.
Boy, come on, man, stop playing.
The art of the science with the realest Justin Adams.
Let's get it on!
Welcome to the Art of the Science podcast. You here with your boy, it's me though. You know what I'm saying? The realest Justin Adams holding it down per usual. You know what I'm saying? Out here in these beautiful Chicago streets. A little raining that happened overnight, but it's sunny outside. Not too hot. But you know, welcome to your boy's podcast. You know what I'm saying? Not too much news, but the news that is out is kind of big. You know what I'm saying? So we'll break down a couple of things. First and foremost, we'll look over the Malignaggi situation with Showtime. To my knowledge, there was only one fight to really cover this week. Also, Tyson and Roy Jones got a price on their pay-per-view, and a couple of matches that were made that are huge. So sit back, chill with your boy, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and listen on YouTube, Apple, and Google Podcasts and SoundCloud. But you know how we get down, bro. Let's get into it.
What? No. What is this?
I'm the realest Justin Adams, and welcome to Aots, Art of the Science, the realest boxing podcast out here in these internet streets.
Well.
Realest boxing news, unbiased analysis, breakdowns, and previews.
The most diabolical this side of the Mississippi.
Don't forget to follow me at JA_the realest and Art of Sci Boxing, ARTOFSCI Boxing. That's on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Go Google that shit. See what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, man.
So there was one noteworthy fight over last week, or over the week, I say, because this is technically the last day of the week. But there was a fight earlier this week on Matchroom's YouTube channel. I think it was on the Zone as well, but I caught it on YouTube. You had Rung Fasai taking on Ahmed Ringrong. Junior bantamweights actually meeting at 120-pound catch weight limit. And Rung Fasai looked he looked rusty. He looked like he ain't been in a ring in a while, but that rust started to wear off. He started to get his punches going. He got warmed up. And Rung Fasai gets the unanimous decision win. One of the things that he kept wanting to talk about was a third match with was it Estrada. He wants to fight Estrada again, make it a third match, try to win the title back, a WBC title that is. Estrada himself, he says that he might be back in the ring later on this year or early next year, which if he is able to get into the ring, I would love to see him and Rung Fasai go at it a third time. The first two fights were very entertaining. A little strange that Rung Fasai fought right-handed. Don't know why he's a lefty, or he fights lefty, I should say. But it was just a busy fight for him. Ringrong was using his length, using his jabs, using his IQ to his advantage for the first 4 rounds, and it looked like Ringrong was going to come in and just wipe him, just sweep him. But Rung Fasai able to dig deep and be able to get warm and get the unanimous decision win. And again, him and Estrada will be a nice fight to watch. And like I said, that was really the only noteworthy fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Matchroom YouTube card was cool. It broke in and out a couple times for me, but I know when the main event started, everything was all good. So yeah, shouts out to Rung Fasai. Him and Estrada having a third match, that'd be cool to have. And it'll be another fight that'll put the smaller weight classes on the map for sure.
Excuse me, I believe you have my stapler.
You're here with the realest, Art of the Science, AOTS. Don't forget to follow the social medias. Subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Excuse me. Okay, but that's the last straw.
So something that took a hold of the boxing headlines over the week were comments made by Paulie Malignaggi. Actually, not even comments, just an interview that he had with IFL TV in April, where Showtime, as of Thursday, had fired Malignaggi and removed him permanently from Showtime. So let's get into some of these comments because let's do this first. Let's go through the comments and then we'll break it down from there. So Paulie Malignaggi, he was responding to comments made by Devin Haney in April, where Haney said he would never let a white boy beat him, which is paying homage to your boy Bernard Hopkins. But I digress. Even though Hopkins did end up losing to Kawasaki, but another day. Devin Haney came out and said he'd never let a white boy beat him. And part of the comments that Malignaggi said, he probably wasn't talking about Vasily Lomachenko. I assume he was talking about Luke Campbell, who I think is the more viable opponent that Haney will be fighting. And then Malignaggi seems to, let the comment ride as something a 20-year-old would say or whatnot. He says that when you're in your early 20s, you probably don't express that very well. It's not something that great to make racial statements in 2020, especially with so many racial tensions in the world. Definitely agree with him on this. Next, he starts to talk about how sometimes the dominant eras or the dominant times in boxing were somewhat defined also by ethnic cross lines or ethnic shifts. So, boxing has had its course in history with certain demographics dominating more than others, right? Maybe 100 years ago, Irish fighters were better. Then the Jews and Italians came in. I think the African American fighter became most dominant in the sport in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Here, let me keep going. He also said that it's not great to have the race discussion because it's going to coordinate division, which again is true. And he stated that as a dominant species, which is a horrible buzz phrase to use, he says it's no longer the time of the African American anymore in boxing in terms of dominant species. It's the Eastern Europeans that have become the dominant species in boxing. I think stating something like what Haney said could be very dangerous. Another passage of what he said, I'm going to read that, and this will probably be the end of me reading everything. I try not to join into the race conversations because this is one of the exact examples of why I don't believe there's racial oppression in 2020, in this century. I believe that there has been, sure, but I don't believe that there's any racial oppression today. I believe it's all made up and it's exaggerated. This is exactly one of the reasons why. The fact that a black fighter can say that and not pay any price, but if a white fighter said that about a black fighter, he'd probably lose his TV contract and probably TV networks wouldn't touch him. I won't tell you that it's a double standard, but I'll tell you that it does prove that the entire whole hypothesis of racial oppression is way above exaggerated in this century. So, lots to break down. First and foremost, I think Malignaggi was not, intentively, or he had intent to be disrespectful to any race, period. I think what he was saying basically is saying that during certain times there were certain fighters in certain demographics that were the best at that time, which is definitely true. Now, with Malignaggi's always been an outspoken cat, but one thing he does know is his boxing. He does know what he's talking about. So we have to first take the fact that all this is in the context of boxing. That's it. I talk to a lot of guys online, and the first thing they say is, "Oh, he's a racist," and it's like, no, he's not. Like, I think he's just talking about main fighters, what's going on, and who's dominating what. Because I mean, as of right now, with the 2000s and 2000, even in 2010, there was a big influx of Eastern European fighters. You have to understand. Vasily Lomachenko, Usyk. At one time, Volstik, Berdabeev, who's from Russia, but part of Russia is part of Eastern Europe, but mainly Asian for the most part. Triple G at one time. Like, these guys were champions, or still are. You know what I'm saying? I think as of right now, there's 7 African American or 8 African American champions. You have your 2 Charlo brothers. So yeah, 2 Charlo brothers. Tank Davis, who has a secondary title. Wilder lost his. Gary Russell Jr. is a champion right now. Devin Haney's a champion right now. I'm trying to think. I know there's a couple more. Is Julian J. Ross? No, I think he's still a champion as well. But my point is, there aren't as many dominant African American fighters as they. Oh, you can't forget about Spence and Crawford. So that makes 8. So they're not as dominant as they were in the 90s, which a lot of those guys. The guys pointed out to me that, oh, well, don't you see that, I remember in the 90s where most of the champions were all black men. And it's like, yes, I totally agree with that. Like in the 90s and 80s, like, black fighter, the African American fighter was the creme de la creme, as you would want to say. But, lately the trend, or what has been, is a lot of Eastern European fighters, which is a fact. That is true. Many more Eastern European fighters have come out, even Asian fighters, and your top fighter right now is a Mexican man. You know what I'm saying? Your top fighter right now is Canelo Alvarez. He's a Latin. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have a lot more champions in different ethnicities. So I can understand the concept of Malignaggi saying that there's an influx of Eastern Europeans and that they've come, and the African American fighter isn't as prominent. He's definitely correct on that. I think it's the word choice that he used that made it seem very divisive. So calling the Eastern Europeans a dominant species, yeah, you gotta do better than that. You gotta do better than that, no matter what the context is. I think that in that sense, you have to be able to choose your words better, especially for a guy who's been in media for almost 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Working the Showtime fights. I mean, I remember seeing him at the park at the Dome in Rosemont when they were doing a CBS card for his boxing. Like the guy knows his boxing acumen is top notch. No one can deny that. But another thing that I want to bring up is the fact that it took 3 months for this to arise. Because these were comments made in an interview by a guy who asked him a question about what Devin Haney said and what those culture lines look like now. Malignaggi offered his opinion. Again, the word choice could be better, but I definitely don't see it being harmful for any ethnic group. Again, could he have chose better words? Definitely. Is what he's saying a lie? No. Are there African American fighters that are dominating right now? Yes. Is it as many as it was in the 90s, 80s, and 70s? No. That's the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is absolutely the truth. So, to even go back on that, there are many more ethnicities that are out here boxing and producing boxing champions. And there are still African American fighters. There might not be as many elite fighters as there was back then, but they're still elite fighters. I think Malignaggi should have chose his words better. Now, I think the main reason why Showtime fired him was because of the fact that they gave him a chance to out himself. They gave him a chance to apologize for the comments, and Malignaggi felt that there was no need for him. That's where most of my problem lies, is the fact that I think he understood what he was saying, or he understood that his message got across. I just think that he could have definitely chose better words or better phrases, because he used some pretty heavy buzzwords here, the dominant species and the African American anymore and those type of phrases. Because he could definitely have said it just like this. He could have said, yeah, there's been an influx of Eastern European boxers who have taken over the ranks of the sport, and there aren't as many African American champions as there used to be. Because you can go back and look at that and say, oh, okay, he's telling the truth. So I think what sucks about it is that we looked at his words and took that as, he, as a totality of him as a person. And I think that's furthest away from who he is. I would think that the little that I know. You know what I'm saying? Because most of his opponents were African American opponents. Most of the guys that he lost to, African American guys. So I don't think it comes from him being salty or anything. But he definitely has a point when it comes to influxes of different ethnicities. But again, Showtime gave him a platform to apologize, or asked him to apologize for the comments, and he didn't feel that there was a need to. And I think Malignaggi could have definitely apologized for the words, for the usage or the words that he used. He definitely could be, I apologize for, some of the choice of words that I used. I could have definitely went about that in a better way. I definitely could have used better vernacular to speak on my opinion, which would have been cool, because we're going back to a network. Not even a network. Yeah, we're going back to a network that has Steven Jackson on it, where the media came out. He was like anti-Semitic comments, things of that nature, and he offered an apology. And he, I don't know if all the smoke is still going. The last time I checked, I think they're in hiatus as of now. But you know what I'm saying? I know Matt Barnes mad because he said I ain't even say any of this shit. You know what I'm saying? That was Steven Jackson. But point is, even Steven Jackson knew, like, you know what, let me go ahead and just apologize for this and try to save face. Where Malignaggi was like, nah, bro, like, what I said is what I said. Like, I don't think any of that was damaging to any race, which I don't think it truly was either. I think if we're talking in the context of boxing, what he says has a lot of truth to it. And if you don't agree with that, then you might either want to watch more boxing or look into the history of it. And again, we could definitely do with some vernacular and grammar and word choices that Malignaggi used, but the main concept of African Americans not being as dominant in boxing as they used to be, that's the truth.
Undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Who next?
Art of the Signs with the Realest.
I'm the best heavyweight champion in the world. I'm have WBC with me. I want who next?
You can follow Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. JA_the Realest. Art of Side Boxing. That's ARTOFSCI Boxing.
You're a regular from down the street. What are you doing?
I want who next?
So 2 quick money stories, you know what I'm saying? First and foremost, Tyson and Roy Jones will be, as of right now, they say it's going to be $49.99, and it will be available through cable and satellite packages and Triller. Now, I know about Triller from one of my guys. He does R&B music. He's a talented singer, and what he does a lot of videos on Triller. You know what I'm saying, with the nice colored filters and all that, and you know what I'm saying. Like, that's how I know Triller. I didn't know Triller could carry that long of a fight. You know what I'm saying, or that long of a card. But if they can, I'm with it. $49.99 to watch 50-year-olds. Let me see the rest of the event. Is Nate Robinson and Jake Paul still gonna be on that undercard? I hope so. Well, the fights are gonna be there. What other music performances? Because we were told, and it was reported, that this would be the Roy Jones and Tyson fight was not the biggest thing on this whole event. It's supposed to be some iconic music performances. It's supposed to be some Legends Only League thing going, started by Tyson, and and like I said, there's also an undercard that has to be filled. So we'll see how this goes, man. And Teofimo Lopez, man, has come out saying that he's actually rejected a take it or leave it deal of right over $1 million, where Lomachenko is getting 3.25. That, like I said, this is reported. And I wonder how these numbers are compiled. I wonder how they get to these numbers. How they say, okay, Lomachenko, you can earn 3, and Teofimo can only earn 1. I wonder. I mean, I could definitely see Lopez wanting to get more bread because he feels like he's a bigger star, which he has been some of the reason why people have been watching the top ranked fights. You know, he's fighting on the Heisman Day. That's the reason why they gave him that slot. You know, so would I like to see Lopez make more money? Definitely. Is this a fight that I see happening? I'm still optimistic about it. I still think they'll try to make that happen just because of what Top Rank can bring to the table when it comes to those weight classes. When it comes to, I think, 135, 140, 130, you know, just in that whole range. I really hope it does happen. I think Loma and Teofimo would be a great fight to see. I think it would be better with fans. However, if they're able to give Lopez a better deal, I definitely see him taking on a fight, and I don't see him being that much of an underdog. I do see Loma maybe coming out a winner. I'm leaning towards Loma. I haven't seen much of Loma since his last fight. But this is about as close to a 50-50 fight as Loma will have with Teofimo. And again, I think it would be an awesome fight to see. Hopefully they have it at the Garden, the Mecca, and being able to stream it for us, man. Maybe they might have to make a pay-per-view just to up the cash for Teo, but is that really good for the brand? We shall see, bro. But I'm definitely up for it if they can give Lopez a better deal.
Hello, gentlemen, lady. How's everybody doing this evening?
Aots with the Realest, Justin Adams. The Realest Boxing Podcast in these internet streets.
You ready? Ready? Yeah. I'm ready.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can catch the audio on SoundCloud and both Google and Apple Podcasts.
Bring it on. Come on. Bring your ass. Come on, get up and come on.
Don't forget to follow the social medias. JA_the Realest at Art of Sight Boxing. ARTOF SCI Boxing.
The only thing I'm stealing out here today is your face.
Alright guys, we had a muy grande match being made official, according to both fighters. And we also got a few matches that have been rumored and been made official for later on this year. But I'll start off with the first one. Errol Spence Jr., Danny Garcia. Title fight. Welterweights. Fox pay-per-view. This fight will be happening on November 21st. And like I said, as right now, according to both fighters, they have both signed the deals. So I think the only thing now is just a venue, which I have not seen any news of as of yet. However, Errol Spence back in the ring. He's not doing any tune-ups after his car crash. He going straight to one of the top welterweights in Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia has fought his way to be at least considered a top 5 or right around top 5. You know what I'm saying? So this will be a great fight. I'm leaning towards Spence just because I think that this is one of the things where even after that life experience, maybe there are a few changes that he's made. I'm optimistic that he's able to actually be more focused, be more honed in on his craft after, all these events that have happened to him. Again, it's going to be an awesome fight. I want to see the card that they're going to make with it just to be able to sell a pay-per-view. Because I think the average for an American pay-per-view is $79.99. Even though I just told you Tyson and Roy Jones, albeit in their 50s, is $49.99. So shouts out to them. Another top welterweight, is Sean Porter. He's going to be taking on a unbeaten German Sebastian Formella on August 22nd. I've seen a lot of complaints about Porter getting a soft touch. I don't understand how. His last, I think, 4 or 5 fights have been against top competition. They've all been wars. Remember, I think his last fight was Spence, and he lost that by split decision. And then he's fought Garcia. That was a close fight. He fought Thurman, another close fight that he lost. So, and then I think before then it was Kell Brook. So we're talking about a guy who's had top fights in the last 3 to 5 years. The last 3 to 5 years. So if he wants to fight a guy that is not as top name heavy, I think he's earned that. And maybe Formella is more competitive than what you think. But if we're talking about a guy who deserves a quote unquote softer touch, Porter is it. You know what I'm saying? Porter has worked that. Like, that was the big thing with Cotto. Like, Cotto will have all these great fights, and then he fought a guy that didn't have good knees in Martinez, and people got out him for it. And, you know what I'm saying, one of his last fights in his career is when he took on Canelo, and that fight was somewhat competitive. I mean, Cotto was never knocked down or any of that. So, shouts out to Porter getting back in the ring August 22nd. That's actually, in 21 days. Another fight that was made was Alida Alvarez versus Joe Smith Jr. They were supposed to fight earlier in the year, but now it's been rebooked for the same date, August 22nd on ESPN Plus. I'm watching that fight, dog. Bunch of bangers, dog. Let me see some of that undercard too, you know what I'm saying? But Joe Smith, Alida Alvarez, explosive fight. Hope y'all able to watch it. Hey, hopefully we able to switch back and forth, you know what I'm saying? PBC on Fox will have a card actually next Saturday, and it will be headlined by Jamal James and Thomas Delorme. Delorme is at a crossroads now, and Jamal James is that rising contender. So again, that always sets up a good fight card for that. I think they should have most of that card out by this week. Actually, I think they put it out yesterday, or I think they're gonna have it out on Monday. Finalized card, that is. Now. Oh, and one more. Jamel Herring and Jonathan Oquendo have been rebooked again for September 5th. Hopefully third time's a charm for Herring. Herring tested positive for COVID twice. And what's funny is he got his negative results the day of the fight. So that's pretty crazy that the timing did not work out in his favor. But hopefully he's able to test negative and be able to fight on the 5th. Now there's one fight that might be made in December. Apparently Anthony Joshua and Kubrat Pulev are aiming for their fight to be in December, when it was originally supposed to be in June. I think they wanted to fight in June, but they're gonna move to December. Hopefully that fight gets done so we can make way for the bigger heavyweight fights. Joshua looks like the overwhelming favorite for that fight, and that fight needs to happen soon so we can move forward with these great heavyweight matches that could take over 2021.
I think we need to have a house meeting, y'all.
Alright.
Aots, Art of the Science, the realest boxing podcast in these internet streets.
Boxing? I want to see somebody knock that motherfucker's head off.
The realest, Justin Adams, bringing you that real boxing news, analysis, breakdowns, previews.
Hey, yo! Shut the up!
Come hold it down with the realest every Friday. Google and Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud.
I mean, really, man, we could just you up.
Fine, I guess I'll go.
Two fight cards on today. Not too much going. There's two fight cards. So the first one is the Showtime card that starts at 7 p.m. Central Time. You have Angelo Leo taking on Tremaine Williams for the vacant WBO junior featherweight title. Now, the original match was supposed to have Stephen Fulton Jr. However, he tested positive for COVID, and they slid him out the event. They slid Tremaine Williams out the co-main to be the main, and then replaced the slot that he was supposed to be in. And they actually did it pretty quickly, which was shout out to Showtime. They were able to do that. I just hope it's not one of those situations like Sinestia Estrada knocking out old girl in 7 seconds. And just to sidebar, Robert Diaz, the matchmaker from Golden Boy, came out with a statement saying that he was very sorry that had to happen like that. It's not all about the commission, because he's the one that actually tried to put the fight together as well. Which, yeah, you should definitely be reprimanded for that, because that was some whole ass shit that you did to Miranda Atkins. You know what I'm saying? But I digress. That fight card is going to have 3 other fights, very competitive fights. Like I said, the card itself starts at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Again, Fulton will not be in the main event. It will be Tremaine Williams instead, because of the positive COVID test. And then what has been called on these internet streets the Omelet Fight between Sam Eggington, the guy that retired Malignaggi, takes on Cheese Man. Literally, Eggington versus Cheese Man. And if you see the graphic of it, it's like they highlight egg and they highlight cheese. So Eddie Hearn has looks like they've named it the Omelet Fight. That starts actually at 1. So by the time this is dropped and this is out in the internet streets, that fight card would have started, and it's on the Zone. You know what I'm saying? Not too much. I ain't gonna hold up most of your time. You know what I'm saying? Tune in next week. Tune in every week. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and listen. You know what I'm saying? You know where you can find me. All my promos. If you want some advertising opportunities, or you want to sponsor or buy some advertising time for me to put together promos for you and put them on the show, please don't forget it. Hit me up. You know my social medias, my email, artofthescience@outlook, or you can go to mine, SSSamWJA.06@gmail.com. Hit me up, man. I mean, we can make this happen. Get the exposure out for you. Like I said, I'm here for y'all. I'm here to make this money. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, if you have any ad opportunities, please don't hesitate to hit me up. But other than that, I'll let your boy next week. Thank you for listening to The Art of the Science.
You better start listening and stop playing.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Audio is on both Google and Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud.
I don't care who he is, man. I don't care what he does, man.
Follow me at JA_The Realest, at Art of Sci Boxing. That's ARTOFSCI Boxing. It's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Appreciate the listen. I catch you in these social media streets.
I love y'all very much. Peace out.